Over at the Gherkin, shooting some Astrum 400 and some Acros 100. Here's the negatives. Come out alright. Take them in the darkroom, do a bit of dodging and burning, put the paper in a developer, see how it comes out. Prints come out looking well, onto another one. Paper stand in Bishopsgate, little bit of dodging and burning, little bit of washing, little bit of sepia toning. Then it's time to cut some matte board for a frame, and they've come out all tickety-boo, ready to go to the customer. So recently a collector of my photographs contacted me and she asked me if I've got any photographs of London. Of course I have. So I'm now around St Mary Axe. This is the Gherkin building right here, and I'm going to mill around and take a few shots. I'm going to be shooting the Astrum 400. So I sent her images of a load of prints and also scans as well, and there's two particular photographs that stood out. After a while she came back to me and she said, I'd like these two printed please in a specific size, and these are the two photographs that she chose. This one was a newsstand in London on Astrum 400 film, and this one was Acros 100. Acros 100 has always been a bit of a punchy film, but I overdeveloped this one, and you can see that's going to give me a little bit of trouble in the darkroom, but not too much, and this one's going to be really easy to print in the darkroom. I've just realised that Liverpool Street station, look, I printed that a long time ago, it's on my wall. We spoke about sizes and she said that she wanted it to fit a 20 by 16 frame, which really pleased me as I can easily print those. So I sent her this design and she liked it. And because she's a good client of mine, I'm making a limited edition print for her that's a specific size, and making only just 5 of each, which means only 5 of these prints in this size will ever be made. And I'm going to give her the second print and obviously keep the first in my folder. And remember in my video a few weeks ago I mentioned how the leader of a film can tell you a lot about your development. Well, here is the leader from the Acros, and it is dense. They're easily printable, but they're going to be contrasty. And you can imagine, of all these years being in the darkroom, I've got an absolute ton of prints. This is one of my favourites actually from London, if you can see that without the sheen. That's from a pinhole camera on the South Bank looking up at the Millennium Wheel. But I think I'm going to have a little bit of a tricky time with the Acros 100. Let's go in the darkroom and see what we can do. So this video, guys, is going to be a darkroom printing video. Stick around and see how these prints come out. So this is the paper I'm using, Kentmere VC Select, and it's fine lustre. It's 12 inch by 9.5 inch paper. So I'm just going to make that size but close it in a bit on the easel. So I'm going 11 by 8.5 inch. And then I'm closing the full negative inside that frame, and then it's going to be matted to suit. So it's not going to be any standard size, but it's going to be made to measure, if you like, a little bit like a suit. So I'll turn the Elijah light on and you can see there's the negative projected on the baseboard, and you can see it's just inset inside that paper, showing the whole full negative. And you can see how dense the negative is. Down here we've got light, which represents the opposite way, so that's going to be quite dark, and up here is quite dark, so when it comes out and there's a positive, it's going to be quite light. So it's quite tricky to work with. But what I need to do first is some test strips. Now I'm not going to do the normal test strips of increments, blah blah blah. There's no point, because I know I've got a darker part, more dense part of the negative at the top and a more thinner part at the bottom. So I really need to work on the top part first and see how long that takes to get an exposure, and then work on the bottom part and see how long that takes to get an exposure, and then work out something for the middle. So that's what I'm going to do with the test strips, and once I've done that I should get a rough idea of how to make the print. So this is my first test strip at just 20 seconds. You can see it's way too light. So I went for a second one at 40 seconds. I'm only interested in the top part of the gherkin. And at 40 seconds, now I'm starting to get somewhere. Let's have a look at the bottom part. This was 20 seconds on the bottom part. So then I did a bigger test here, and this time I put 40 seconds on the clock and then just gradually covered this area as it went along 40 seconds. So the top part got the 40 seconds and it kind of went 30 seconds, 20 seconds. So a little bit of a step wedge, if you like. And I think it's come out okay. Right, 40 seconds on the clock. So 2.5 grade filter. That's my filter under the enlarger. 40 seconds, and all I'm going to do is the top part's going to get 40 seconds, and I'm going to start covering from the bottom from about 15 seconds upwards, so you'll see. So just coming up now, I'll start covering the bottom. I don't want that to get any more exposure, like so. And I'll just start moving my hand up a little bit as we go along, because I want the top part to get more of the exposure. And I've moved up a little bit more, up to the last 10 seconds. And I'm just waving my hand in and out, like you can see, because I don't want any hard lines going on. So I'm blending it in, if you like. There you go. So let's put that under the in the developer and see how it looks. And it goes into the developer. And this is all fresh chemicals for this session, so I'm going to get the best out of my prints. Just see the print starting to come through. Notice the top part is coming through longer. So I'll leave it in here for about a minute or so. So I'll make sure that I get my D-max. In other words, I'll make sure that the developer has gone as far as it can with developing the print, and then I'll stop it and then get it fixed. So I'm not too worried about this area. I'm happy with that. I'm going to just do a little tiny bit of dodging on the gherkin itself here, just maybe 10 seconds using the dodge tool. I'll show you in a moment. But I've got a problem. Can you see it here? The side of the building was in sunlight and it hasn't exposed on the paper, so I had to do a couple of little tests, and here it is here. So I've done 40 seconds with a 2.5 grade filter, and then 80 seconds with a contrast 0 filter, just to try and find something in this area. I needed to see if there was information there, and there is. You can see it. So I'm going to have to do another reprint. There's another way I could go around it by pre-flashing the paper, but that's a right faff. I don't really want to go through that, otherwise I'll have to do all new test times and things will start changing. So I can get around it just by using a contrast 0 filter and burning in this area. Luckily enough, this area is quite light anyway, so I can burn that in. So I've got a bit of time to play with, you can see. Let's see how it goes. So now I'll put my contrast 0 filter in, and that's going to tickle the blacks, but it will start building any highlights up, and that's what I want to do in that corner. So that's going to be for 80 seconds. This is going to be a real palaver, but I'm just going to have to burn that corner in for 80 seconds with that 2.5 grade filter already on top of it. So let's go for 80 seconds, or thereabouts will do. So that was a right pickle, that print, but I managed to get there in the end, and I made 5 copies of that print, and those negs ain't going to be seen for a long time. This is the next one I'm working on that the client liked, which is a newspaper standard, the Evening Standard in London back in 2018. There's people around there, and you've got these papers, and there seems to be no one there at all sort of guarding these papers. He must be somewhere, the paper merchant. I kind of remember taking it. I remember thinking that looks pretty cool. The newspaper's on their own, right in the middle of the street, slap bang in the middle of the composition, people in the background, and it looks a lot easier than my last negative to make a print with. You can see it's all pretty even, so I've got nice contrast going on up here, and I do like contrast. You know, black and white is black and white, it's not grey. Black and white's black and white, and anything in between is a bonus, some tones in between. But I've got some nice tones on this neg. Let's see, do a quick test and see how it works. And that is what I've got after 10 seconds under the enlarger. And I haven't got to do no more than that. I'm just going to go at 10 seconds. Of course, I'm going to make one print now and see how that looks. And hopefully, I've nailed it straight off with one test strip. 10 seconds. Right, so that's the print there. I like it a lot, but this one's still going to be a pickle for me. I've got to do a little bit of burning over this area. I'm happy with all the tones, with the contrast this side. Just this pavement area, I need to just do a little bit of burning around here if I can try and work that out. And there you go, nailed it. That side is pretty much exactly the same as this side. So a little tiny bit of burning in has helped that print out, and it looks fantastic. I really do like that one. So this is my first print. I can still take this as a test print. I didn't realise there's a little dog there as well. Looks like a bulldog. This is still my first print. I can either take this or I could start getting a little bit critical. Everything's fine. If I want to get critical, I could do a little tiny bit of dodging here just to lighten these people up a little bit. They've got dark suits on. It could do with a little bit of lightening up. So maybe just a few seconds just here, just throw my dodge tool in. Let's try it out. 1, 2, 3, and off. And now burn that pavement in again for 7 seconds. I'm going to do it this way. And that's it, done. And as for the toning, I decided to go for the slight, very slight sepia tone, which I like. I've done that quite a lot on my prints. I was going to use some selenium toner as well and sort of cross tone it, but I decided not to in the end. I just went with that slight sepia, which I do quite often with my prints, and I think it worked out really well. So this is a toning process, sepia tone, but it's only a slight sepia. It's not, this is highly diluted, so you know I don't want that brown sepia 1800s looking thing. I just want to give it a little hint. So this is the bleach, and this is the toner, and this is fresh water over here. And the print's going to go in the bleach first, and that's going to start stripping away the highlight areas on the print. Then I have to wash that off, and then I put the print back in or into the sepia toner, and then the sepia toner will then put that slight sepia tone back over the highlighted areas that were blown out by the bleach. Well, that's how it should work anyway. It's quite good fun when you're toning prints, but I don't like that sepia look, so I just go for a very slight look. So, okay, it's ready to go in the bleach now. I'll run the water. It's difficult to do it in the bathroom. It's much better if you've got a proper dark room. So in there, 1, 2, 3, and I'm watching it for, and these all come out a little bit different. Just starting to see that go through now. Bleaching away. Okay, let's put that into the wash. So that's the wash print that's been bleached. Now I'll put it in the toner. Make sure you wear a glove, I only use one. So we're just going to get a slight sepia tone. I can see it coming in now. And these temperatures aren't cold, they're around about 25 degrees. Just helps it along a bit. That's just a very slight tone, looks nice. And we'll take that out. Make sure not to get it in my bleach, bring it back over into the wash. And there you go, toned print. You can see a slight difference. So it's not sepia, it's just going to get a very slight tinge of sepia to it, which is, I think looks really nice. And the only trouble with sepia toning is if you're using the bleach and you start going too far with it, it can start stripping away your photographs. So you've got to be careful, and just when you set up your toning or your trays ready to do, don't jump your master prints in there straight away. Do a few tests first so you know exactly where you're going. Like this one here was one of my first tests, and look at that, I completely washed the bottom out with that bleach. So you've got to be a little bit careful with ferrocyanide, it's called. Got to be a little bit careful with that. So just have a little dabble with some of your test prints before you go mad with the stuff. So I think they've come out well. I like these sort of street photographs, you know. There's just busy little scene going on, and one day these newspaper stands ain't going to be around. I can't imagine newspapers are going to be around for much longer. So years to come, maybe this will be a thing of the past. Can you see that there without the light hitting it? Yeah, I like this photograph. I like these sort of busy scenes, and I don't know why I never printed this one or some of the others that I've noticed on those negatives. I think sometimes when you come back from a shoot and you develop your photographs and you look at them, and if you've got printers or whatever, or dark rooms, you look at maybe one or two and you print them, and when you go back to those negatives years later, you think that was actually quite a good photograph. And the more you look at these photographs, the more you start noticing things in the background. I'll put the photograph up for you to see, but there's like some sort of guy, it looks like a religious thing he's doing. He's staring straight at me. You can see me taking a picture. You've got a dog in the background as well. I didn't even notice that at first when I started making this print. And this one I particularly like because I remember taking this, I seeing a reflection of the gherkin in another building, and it's just a little busy scene there. I think it was just kind of like about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so I can imagine people were just sitting there having a little chill out from work or whatever, having a bit of lunch and just going around about their day. I also like it around this area because you've got those old buildings still there, they can't be touched, and you've got all the glass buildings around them, so it looks really good on photographs when you take those pictures of the old against the new. And with this building there's some sort of separating line, you can see it going off there, some sort of separating line, which I think looks quite nice. It kind of separates this glass building from the old building at the bottom, and no doubt I would have noticed that when I took the photograph at the time. And for anyone wanting to photograph London, if you're off to London or whatever, have a look around this area, East Central London. This place is called St Mary Axe, but around there you've got lots of other nice buildings. The Lloyd building as well is there too, which is an interesting building in itself. I think I showed that earlier on in the video. That was one that I initially sent to Tina to show the idea of the frame, but we changed the photographs around. The Lloyd's building is another interesting building. So all around that area you've got some interesting stuff if you enjoy architectural photography. So that was a pretty simple darkroom session really, and I enjoy those darkroom sessions where there's a little bit of challenging going on and you try and work around it. You know, there's many other ways you could have worked around those prints, but that's the way that I chose. I started at one way and thought, okay, I'm going to work around this now and get to the finished result, and I did. They're all mounted now, ready to go over to her. The other ones, guys, are going to be on my Etsy page if anyone's interested in those limited edition prints that I've got. They come with a written certificate of authentication by me. You don't have to get those stuff printed out. Handwritten, I think, adds a nice little touch as well. So they'll be on my Etsy page, link in the description. I hope you enjoyed that darkroom session, and I'll catch you next time.